everyone? All right, I think we're live. Perfect. Okay, so we are live right now, everybody. So welcome. It is so good to see everybody. So let me introduce myself. My name is Rachel, and I work at the museum at Eldridge Street. And a little bit about our museum. So we are inside this very beautiful, very big, very old synagogue in New York City in a neighborhood called the Lower East Side. And the synagogue, if maybe that's a new word for some of us, and a synagogue is a place of worship for Jewish people. And today we have a museum inside the synagogue. And one of the things that I get to do as an educator is I get to teach students about history and architecture and art and math and many, many other things. So it's one of the favorite parts of my job. And I'm so happy I get to talk about our museum today a little bit and do some fun activities with you from my dining room table. And if you have not been to the museum at Eldridge Street, I am so excited and looking forward to welcoming you when we reopen. And one of the programs that we do at our museum during this time of year is a special program around holidays. And maybe you can help me a little bit because we have a very special holiday coming up next week. And maybe does anybody want to take a guess what holiday? That's right. Passover is coming up. And the Passover is going to be happening next week. And during Passover, we tell this very important story about a long time ago, how Jewish people were enslaved in the land of Egypt. And in the story, a man named Moses leads the Jewish people out of slavery and into freedom. And people celebrate Passover all over the world. People have many different traditions and many special ways of celebrating the holiday. And one of the things that people will do during Passover is really think about the meaning of freedom, what it means to be a free person, talk about that with their families. So it's really something important for us to think about. And I really think the Passover story is so special to us at the museum at Eldridge Street because we talk a lot about freedom at our museum because our synagogue was built, as I said, a very long time ago. It was built in 1887. So maybe I have some mental mathematicians with me this morning. So if you do the math on that for a moment, how many years old is our building? And just remember, we're in 2020 now. 132 years old. So thinking about how old our building is, our synagogue was built before your grandparents were even born. So that was a really long time ago, certainly a lot older than me. And it was built by a group of people called immigrants. And maybe that's a word we've heard of or have learned about in school. And an immigrant is somebody who was born in one country and then moves to another country. And people immigrate for lots of different reasons. And for many immigrants, including the Jewish immigrants who built our synagogue, they were seeking freedom. They were freedom of religion, freedom of a better life. And so many of them came to the United States and they came to the Lower East Side and they built our synagogue and they were able to celebrate all of these wonderful freedoms. And so that's a little bit about our building. And as I said before, we do like to celebrate Passover at the museum. We like to tell stories and do activities. And in a little bit, I'm going to teach you a very special craft that we've done at the museum. It's one of my favorite holiday traditions. But I thought it would be really nice for us to start by reading a story together. And I could use a little help maybe from everybody here today. Does anyone maybe know the name of the special meal we have during Passover? Yes, that's right. It's called the Seder. So during the Seder, there's a special way of going about the meal. We tell the story of Passover. So there's like kind of a step-by-step to how you do a Seder. Now, another question I have. Can anybody tell me or think about maybe the name of an animal that rhymes with the name Seder? That's right, alligator. What a funny idea, an alligator Seder. Well, it just so happens I have a book with me today called Alligator Seder, and I'm going to read this book to all of you, and I'll get in very close, make sure everybody can see the pictures and the words. So the book is Alligator Seder, and the writer is Jessica Hickman, and illustrated by Ella Sambora. And we do want to thank the Learner Publishing Group for granting us permission to read this story to you all today. So I'll get in really close. Okay. Every year in Florida, our favorite Sunshine State, a very special family takes out its Seder plate. They look for bits of chametz. They're good investigators. They're really just like you and me, except they're alligators. Mama sets the table. Gefilte fish is made. Her cooking is the best in the entire Everglade. Their fellow gator guests arrive and quickly grab a seat. The gators are all hungry and they really love to eat. Mama lights the candles. Papa blesses wine. The Seder is beginning, so the gators all recline. It's time for the 4 questions asked by Baby Gator. Why is this night different from all other nights? Then comes the Passover story, as at every family Seder. Gators love their matzah. They plan to eat a bunch. Their many extra teeth make for an even louder crunch. The meal is being served now, and the gators start to chomp. The delicious smells of dinner go drifting through the swamp. Where is the afikomen? It could be anywhere. One gator quickly finds it and brings it back to share. Everyone is going home. They all say, "See you later." Another year, another splendid Alligator Seder. So I really enjoyed reading that book with you. And it's just kind of funny to think about alligators down in Florida having a Seder. And if you think about the story for a moment, maybe what were some special things that the alligator family did to celebrate the holiday? Yeah, so they're eating special foods like the matzah and the gefilte fish. They mentioned something called you can see the mama here holding the Seder plate. It has those very symbolic special foods that we eat. I actually brought mine. So we know there are special foods that we eat, like an egg or the charoset or the bitter herbs. So we're tasting all of these different foods that are sweet and salty and bitter to remind us of parts of the story. There's looking for the afikomen, that hidden piece of matzah. So, hopefully you'll find it this year and get a prize. So there's lots of special things that we do. And what I'm going to do now is show you a special tradition that we've done at the museum, and it's something now that I like to do with my family. And that's making a very special cup. Because during the Passover Seder, we set aside a place and a chair for someone called Elijah the prophet. And during the Seder, it might be your job this year. You get up and open the door, and we welcome the prophet Elijah in, and he takes a drink. So what we're going to make today is a special cup or goblet called the Elijah cup. And also, I have a colleague also who always likes to remember Miriam in the story, who plays the tambourine. So she also gets a place at the table too. So you can make your own Elijah or Miriam cup, or just to decorate your table for the Passover holiday, or just to decorate. And there's a couple of materials that you're going to need. So I have with me, this is one that I made earlier. And I had these plastic cups that look like this. And your cup does not need to look like this. If you can find a plastic cup in your house, that's great. Also, if you do have one, you can use an actual glass to make yours. Just make sure there's a grown-up supervising you because this is glass. So you'll find your cup. And then the next couple of things you're going to need are some tissue paper. And these have been cut up into squares. And if you don't have tissue paper, crepe paper, gift wrap paper, even construction paper can work for this project. You're just going to want to cut the pieces into small squares, and if you have lots of different colors for you to choose from. A couple of other things, you're going to need a brush. And this is just one that I have, but even a paintbrush can work too. And I do have with me some Mod Podge, because that's going to hold all the paper together on your cup. And if you don't have Mod Podge, that's fine too. You can, if you have some Elmer's glue, just a little bit of Elmer's glue, just with some water, is more than enough. Okay, and I also have Sharpies. If you have some colorful Sharpie markers, this is really cool, and I'll show you what to do at the end, what you can do with your Sharpies. So you're going to start first with your cup. You're going to take your Mod Podge. And actually, before I do that, I should say, if lots of different colors, so you can do a rainbow, you can do patterns. When I was thinking about the cup that I wanted to do, especially this one, we have at our museum some of the most beautiful stained glass windows. We have 67 stained glass windows at our museum, and we have this incredible big circular window that was made by an artist named Kiki Smith, and she worked with an architect, Deborah Gans, to build the window. And it's just this incredible window with blue and gold stars, so I'm always really inspired by that window. But you can choose any color pattern or color schemes that you like. So once you choose your colors, you're going to take your cup and your brush, and you're just going to start painting your cup like this. Oh, someone said my cup is beautiful. Thank you so much. I kind of was feeling inspired today because we are heading into springtime, and I'm looking out my window and I'm seeing the trees blossoming. So it's just nice to see green things growing again. So I'm going to take my tissue paper. I'm just going to start sticking it on. Just tap it down just to make sure that it holds. And I'm gonna put some, and you can what you can do is you can layer the paper too. You can put more on. At the end, actually, you're gonna put a coating of the Mod Podge on. So I'm just gonna do another there. And kind of something really cool that happens when you do that. Do you notice how when you layer the two papers, you get this darker color? With stained glass, that's actually a technique called plating. Because in the 1800s, stained glass had been out of fashion for a really long time. Stained glass goes back hundreds of years. And when stained glass came back into popularity, they realized they didn't have a lot of colors anymore. So one of the ways you can make colors is you take two colors, layer them on top of each other, and get a completely different color. So for example, maybe if you take yellow and blue, what color is that going to give you? That's right, green, so you can do that as well. So let's see, I've got my green, and I did see some lilacs blooming early. I took my son for a walk yesterday and we saw some lilacs. Then just looking at all the flowers. So I'll do a little pink. And you're just gonna keep, doing this and doing this, kind of a bit like use your fingers to sculpt the paper. And don't worry if you tear some of this, that's okay. If you make a little rip, that's fine. You can just put another layer over it again. Oh, I'm seeing some people that I know here. Oh, one of our docents, Anita, is on. She's saying hi. And one of my old friends from the Tenement Museum is saying hi. It's so nice to see so many wonderful people on here today. Let's see, maybe I'll do some purple. What do you guys think? Let's do some purple? Yeah. Spring colors. Yeah, and this is just a nice craft you can do with your family. Together, just have your own special cup. I would not recommend though when you are finished putting these in the dishwasher. So don't do that. You might want to clean them by hand because they are very fragile and we don't want the paper to get wet. Do a little more pink. Yeah, so you're just going to keep doing that, and when you're finished, you're just going to leave your cup to dry, maybe about an hour. You don't add before you let it dry. I would just put another coating of Mod Podge or glue, just to seal it, and leave it to dry for an hour. And when it's dry, you can do other things too with your cup. So, for example, with my stained glass window cup, I had some stickers, and again, I said we have hundreds of gold stars in our building, like on our ceilings and on our domes. So I was really inspired by that. So I added some stars. So if you have some stickers at home, or adhesive jewels are really great, you can do that as well. And another thing you can do, if you really want to get that look of stained glass, you can take a Sharpie marker. And you could just start drawing some lines between the pieces of paper, because if you've looked at stained glass before, one of the things you might notice is that there are black lines running through the glass, and that's metal that holds the pieces of glass together. So you can kind of do the same technique with a Sharpie marker, so it gives the look of stained glass. You can see. And if you don't have these materials at home, even if you have some Sharpie markers lying around, some other markers won't work because it'll just rub off on the plastic. But if you do have some colorful Sharpie markers that will work, you could just use that to decorate and draw on your cup, and it'll still give this very shiny effect. So that's the project. It's really fun. It's a nice thing to do with your family. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I would love it too, and everyone at the museum would love it if you want to share your cups with us. You can tag them. We are on Instagram. If you go to @museum at Eldridge Street, you can send us photos of your cups and we can show them on our social media. And also, I invite all of you to go to our website, www.eldridgestreet.org. We have a special page up right now for families called Learning from Home. And every week we're going to post new things. We have activities, writing prompts, photographs. We're going to do this more again as well. There's also, for older students, we have a really wonderful curriculum with some historical primary sources. So we're going to keep those materials coming. And feel free to check us out. And I can't wait to welcome all of you to the museum when we reopen. And as we said in the book, we'll see you later, alligator, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.